Yes, that's right. Apparently, breakfast is racist. Oh my goodness. This is really the beginning of the anti racist movement, apparently. People really mad about being overweight, right? Is that fat consciousness? I think that's a thing that they've pushed now on college campuses. Fat consciousness. No longer just racial consciousness or class consciousness. It's all about fat consciousness and telling people not to eat breakfast because apparently that's racist. Oh my goodness. And this article here says anti-racist meals must be gluten free. What? I guess that makes sense. I mean, a gluten, to stop racism, you have to eat gluten free food. Not everyone has celiac disease. I feel sorry for the people that do, but it's ridiculous that so many Americans made it a big deal to eat gluten free foods. Although maybe the popularity of that has tampered down a bit in recent years. Used to be pretty huge. And food to fuel anti-racism. What? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Food is not racist. You can eat whatever you want. If you want to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, go for it. So, but people are arguing nowadays that everything is racist. Everything is not racist. It's a little ridiculous.
Colonialism and white supremacy. That when the European colonizers came and saw the indigenous people eating when they were hungry, they were like, they're savages, they're uncivilized. Because the white Europeans differentiated themselves from animals who would graze for their food when they were hungry by setting distinct meal times that correlated with time of day. And so that is why we eat 3 meals a day instead of just eating when we're hungry, because the colonizers thought that that resembled animals too much.
That's the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard. This is just ridiculous. Or maybe people ate 3 meals a day because they worked from sunup to sundown farming. It was hard back breaking work, and oftentimes breakfast was just a piece of bread and milk or coffee. Yeah, I mean, now you can eat all day. It's much easier to come by food. Far less people, only about 2% of Americans work in the farming industry. In 1800, it was about 95%. So things have changed dramatically. And, but getting 3 meals a day when you actually worked for a living, like you had to work hard, that was pretty important back then, I think. Nowadays we sit around in front of computers all day, like I'm doing right now. So, I don't necessarily have to eat quite as much or consume as many calories, but I can if I want to. And then this article from National Review is a counter to that. She makes this argument. Yes, she actually uses the word racist, right? These people actually push the narrative that breakfast is racist, as well as the other 2 meals of the day. It's just racism. If you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they think it's racist. That's ridiculous. Uh, Dogmatic adherence to meal times is anti-science, right? They're referencing this article from Mother Jones that we talked about first. Racist and might actually be making you sick, proclaims the subhead to Kiera Butler's Wednesday article titled "Why You Should Stop Eating Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner." Here is her reasoning. When the Europeans came over to the United States, they ate 3 meals a day, whereas Native Americans ate in a less restricted fashion, a practice which Butler claims the Europeans considered to be unrefined. Butler offered excerpts of an email with Abigail Carroll, author of the book Three Squares, The Invention of the American Meal, as proof of this point. The eating schedule of the native tribes was less rigid. The Europeans took this as evidence that natives were uncivilized. Carroll explained to me in an email, Butler wrote. She said that Carroll told her that the Europeans believed that civilized people ate properly and boundaried their eating, thus differentiating themselves from the animal kingdom where grazing is the norm. So basically, if you organize your eating around breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you are perpetuating the racist belief that Native Americans are savage animals. Shame on you. Obviously, no one is pushing that narrative, and it's a little bit, it's just ridiculous. I've said that numerous times now. But I'll tell you what is interesting about fat consciousness. That's derivative of Marxism, right? Marxism started with class consciousness, and things in college like fat studies. Okay, fat studies. That's really fat Marxism. And these people, they can't find jobs with majors like that, so they go on TikTok and TikTok and Instagram and, perpetuate these ridiculous narratives. But we have other problems to worry about going forward, like now 3D printed foods from petri dish to dinner plate. This is the world's first 3D printed cultivated fish fillet. I don't know if that really qualifies as fish if it comes from a 3D printer. You tell me. I just saw another post that I don't have here about a 3D printed steak. I had steak 2 nights ago. And yeah, I don't think if it came from a 3D printer, it would be genuine steak. So, I'm not completely against the narrative. If you can create organs and save people's lives, you create a new kidney for somebody, that's great. If they can, and they can live a bit longer. But I am not looking forward to eating 3D printed steak or fish. I am looking forward to how the fat conscious people will determine that it's racist. That'll be interesting, because certainly Aboriginal or Native people did not eat 3D printed food. So it'll be, I don't know what argument they're going to make, but I'm sure it'll be preposterous. Stakeholder Foods, a startup based in Israel, produced a 3D printed cut of grouper, a significant milestone in the food industry, said Eric Kaufman. The company teamed up with Singapore-based Umami Meats to create the fillet. In the first tasting, we showcased a cultivated product that flakes, tastes, and melts in your mouth exactly like fish would. Sure. I don't know, man. That doesn't sound exciting to me. And it doesn't sound too appealing. But we'll leave the video at that.